Please. First of all, children, quadratic, what is it?
It's something.
Actually, what lesson were we actually on? Because it defines it better there than I'm talking to you. You're going to go back. It's like in lesson 83. Just so you can see this here. Hold on to your horses here. Doesn't it say here 83? Oh no, 84, sorry. Okay. You've got this, okay? You've got linear equations. What type of an equation will give you a line? That is one where you get, like y equals mx plus b, y equals x plus 3. When your equation just has an x to no power in it, if you graph that, you're going to get a line, okay? If today we're talking about a quadratic really is the next step up, quadratic. It's when you end up with a x squared beginning term. And you can have whatever follows it, plus 3x plus 1, okay? And we talked about this before. Anytime, or we actually did this before, any equation that has an x squared in it ends up being a parabola. Parabola. And that's what we're talking about today. Quadratics, why do you suppose it's called quadratics? Well, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can write it with 4 terms. Now a lot of times they skip this being y and they put the little f of x. Okay, don't let that fool you. They just want to call it a function. That's all. Means the same thing. Okay, today we're going to figure out just how we graph this nice little parabola without having to put a whole bunch of stuff in it and making a table so much. But it isn't really as easy. And then we've got cubic. You can probably figure out what a cubic would be. It would be a y equals x cubed plus whatever, 2x squared plus x plus 5, whatever it is. You could graph that too, and they do make graphing calculators, and at that point it's probably time to do that. So today we're going to graph quadratics. Nick Shanks, your question was what?
Was the 3x? Or the 3x?
Yeah, it probably should have been. Did I write it? Did I not write it, or did I just not write it? It doesn't matter. Okay. When you graph a quadratic, let's just do one. Here are the things you want to be aware of. Let's say we have y equals 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. Okay. Just like with linear equations when we had y equals mx plus b, okay, the generic form of this is y equals a x squared plus b x plus c. Because if they ever refer to the letters a, b, and c, they mean for a they mean the letter in front of the x squared, for b they mean the letter in front of the x, and for c they mean that last number there. Okay, good? Okay. When you graph this, okay, the first thing we're going to look for is what's called the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry. And that lovely little thing is the place, if you look at a parabola, all parabolas are symmetric, okay? And the axis of symmetry is just this little line, wherever it might be, that the parabola, when you get done with it, is shaped around. Okay, it's its line of symmetry. We've talked about that before. I'm going to take that away. Okay, and the way that you find the axis of symmetry is this. There's a handy dandy little formula. And the little formula is, I believe it's, let me make sure I get it right. It is negative where'd you go, axis of symmetry? Yeah, negative b over 2a. the axis of symmetry is this, x equals negative b over 2a. Now here's where it gets a little dicey. In other words, to find the place on the x-axis where I can draw that straight up, and by the way, it'll always be a vertical line. To find the place for that, I plug these two numbers into this thing, and that'll tell me where that is. So I find my b is right here. Okay, so it's a negative 3, are you with me? Because I had the negative there, and the b was a negative 3, over 2 times what the letter a is, which is 2. So I end up with, what? 3 over 4, right? So, where x is 3/4 is where that nice little dashed line's going to be. So I'll do this. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I made up this thing. I should have picked one from the book that works out. So here at 3/4, which is right about here, there is going to be a dashed line. Can I change my equation? Is it too late? So I know my parabola is going to be centered around that, somewhere, somehow. Okay? Now the next thing you have to look for, I guess this would be step number 2, is you want to find the vertex. Which is either the maximum point or the minimum. And I'll tell you that a little bit later. And to find the vertex, you have to take your axis of symmetry number and put it in the equation. Here's where I wish I would have looked in the book for this, because this is going to get a little early. Most of them won't be this hard, so just follow with me here. In other words, I'm going to take this 3/4 and I'm going to plug it in for x in my equation, and whatever number I get for y is where the parabola either top is or bottom is, depending on which way it goes. You good so far? Yes, you are. So I'm going to try this as best I can. Ready? 2 times x squared, which means 2 times 3/4 squared, minus 3 times 3/4 plus 4. Which means I end up with what, children? Help me out. What's 3/4 squared? 9/16. And 2 times 9/16 is 18/16, right? What is negative 3 times 3/4? Negative 9/4 plus 4. Right? Anybody want to do the math for me? 9/4 is how many 16ths?
Negative 46.
Wait, can't you reduce it to 8? That's right.
Hold on, let's do that. Let's just do this. Let's just reduce it to fourths. How about that? What is, no, I can't. Can I? No, I can't. 9/8. Is that the best I can do? So this is 18/8. 9/8 minus 18/8 is negative 9/8, which is negative 1 1/8. Subtract or add 4 to that. I get. Anybody? Jeremy Schwartz, you're the man. What is negative 9/8 plus 4? Just take 1 1/8 away from 4.
2 and
2 and 7/8. So here where y, children, is 2 and 7/8, right here at this point, where y is 2 and 7/8, is going to be the either max or the minimum. This is either going to be the high point of this parabola. In other words, the parabola is either going to do this or it's going to do this. How are you doing? How do I know? Well, I'm not done yet.
Oh,
Sorry.
good job. Sorry.
And this will come a lot easier if we do a couple of them. The next thing you want to do, step 3, is just pick a number. Just one number will be fine, to put into this equation to find another point on your parabola. And I always pick an easy one. How about this? Now I can pick even easier than that. Put 0 in. Now you don't have to put 0 in, but 0 is going to be easy. If I make x 0, all these go away and y equals what? So I know there's a point at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because, Nikikala, this is a symmetrical thing, there is going to be another point the same distance away from that axis of symmetry over here because it has to be symmetrical. So once you find 1, you'll automatically find 2 because there's going to be another dot the exact same distance on the other side of that parabola for that line of symmetry. And then you know that this is your parabola right here, just like such. That's an actual parabola. What's that? Well, it depends on your equation, and typically I tell you to find another point just to get an exact thing, because you can do a couple different things with that. Okay, but here's something to remember. If this is positive, if the first term is positive, then it is a U-shaped thing. If the first term is going to be negative, then it's going to open the other way and it's going to be an umbrella shaped. A negative first term means it's going to open the other way. Opens like an umbrella. Shabam? You good with that? Perfect. Now again, it isn't as bad. If you do a couple of these, you'll start to kind of get the hang of it. And I picked a bad one for that one thing there. Speaking of doing a couple of them, I got this little sheet for you. Let's get the big sheet. It's only big because it's all graph paper. Oh boy. Oh boy. We will do a couple of these and then you'll say, you know what, this is that doesn't mean you get them all, but you have them. Who needs one more?
Yes.
Who did I give an extra one to? I know I made 18 of these bad boys. Didn't I? Did I give somebody 2 of them? Yeah. Okay, take a look at, oh sure, now it's not there. Wait a second. What is this called? I don't need
Brother help.
let's look at, I don't want to do, sure, let's do problem number 2. Spank. Oh no, I don't want to be there. Uh-oh.
Whoa. Oh, that's not good.
Uh-oh, it's gone. I'm hoping it comes back after the big flash.
And again.
Somebody-
Screen's green now.
Oh, I can at least write something. Alright. What was this? Y equals what?
Y equals x
Squared plus 5.
I'm gonna do it over here. Okay. So here's my graph. I'm gonna graph this. Step number 1 is you have to use that formula to find the axis of symmetry, which is negative b over 2a. Now, there is no b term in there, but you can always put one in there. It's really x squared plus 0x plus 5. So if you stick that in there, what do you end up with on top? A 0, which means your whole thing is going to be 0. So where x is 0 is the axis of symmetry, which is the y-axis. Your axis of symmetry is going to be right here. It's going right down the middle. Okay? Step number 2 is, Emma Christ, don't look at me like that. I put these numbers. This is A, which is a 1. This is B, which is a 0, and this is C, which is a 5. I put 0 in for b, which means my whole thing's gonna end up being 0 because it doesn't matter what the bottom is, the top is 0. So that's where this 0, where x is 0, which is the y-axis, that is the axis of symmetry. Step 2 is you take that 0, put it in the equation and see what y is. So I put 0 into this equation here. 0 squared is plus 5. So there's a point 0.5. That is my, in this case, since it's positive, it's going to open up. That's my minimum here at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there, I know my parabola is going to do this because it's a positive x squared, which means it has to be a u-shaped thing. Step number 3, you simply pick some easy points and figure out what their corresponding thing is. For example, I'm going to use x. I'm going to use 1. If x equals 1, what does y equal?
6.
1 squared is 1 plus 5 is 6. So here at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a dot. And there's a dot exactly the same distance on the other side because it has to be symmetrical. And then I would probably do one more. Just to, what if x was 2, what is y? 9. So here at 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's a dot, as well as right there, the same distance from the axis. And then you just kind of pencil in and sketch the U. There is my graph. Now, unfortunately, I can't do anything else because I don't have a toolbar up there. Wait, while I'm fixing computer, hold on a second.
This is what they make French curves for, by the way. I'm gonna find a harder one.
just flip all the way to the back page and see if you can do problem number 29. Find the axis of symmetry, put that in there, find the max or min, in this case it'll be a min. Did I say 29? Yeah. See how far you get before it all crashes and burns.
Oh, that's uplifting.
Actually, you crashed and burned. I said it crashed and burned.
Oh, okay.
Have your little notes there. Find the axis of symmetry. Put the axis of symmetry in there. We don't use D in the A. We don't work up the Z. C doesn't even come into play until the end. Oh, here it is. Here's my other piece of paper. Only the names have changed. You good? Did you put a point in it? And just pick a number like 0 and get a point? I don't see your parabola at all. Oh, scared. She's running to scare people. So you put 0 in for this. You're going to be positive. 0. Right there's 10. And then it should be the same 2 over there. And then you can try to put 1 in there. Put a 1 in there, so it's good. Oh. What?
I got it. Wait, how do I do number two?
So at one, it's one count of four.
Wait, how do I put in the word point?
Neatness and accuracy, by the way, will pay off big dividends in the end.
Do we cast it with a Y intersection?
Don't worry about their x's and y intercepts. I'm just looking for the sketch of the graph.
What does that mean?
Where it crosses the x and y axis.
I did it.
Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis.
But it has the Y around the word.
No.
Got it.
I got it.
I got it.
Alright, here's what it looks like. Children, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, find your axis of symmetry, which is negative b over 2a. B is a minus 8, so it's actually a negative minus 8 is actually a plus 8. I might have to do it over here. 2 times a is 4, so your axis of symmetry is 2. So where x is 2, right here, it's already kind of a dark line, you need to put your axis of symmetry. Everybody make it that far?
Yeah.
Step number 2 is you take that point and you want to find where the line, where the dot is on that line. So you put 2 into this equation. 2 times 2 squared is what? 8 minus 16 plus 10, which gives you 18 minus 2, right? Am I right? Am I right or am I right? It's 2. It's 2. Right. So at the point, this point at 2, that's the very bottom of your parabola. Now you just need to figure out a couple other points on here. Again, pick an easy one. If I put 0 in for x, which is an easy one, this goes away, that goes away. Y has to be 10. So at the point 0, 10, there's a dot. There's also a dot equal distance on the other side of that. And then maybe you want to throw in there, the only point you're ever going to get is this one right here, which is at 1. If I put x equals 1 in there, I get 2 minus 8 plus 10, which ends up being 12 minus 8, 4. So here at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know there's a point. You know there's a point there, and the sketch of this is going to look like this. Questions, concerns, comments? Something you'll realize as time goes by, if there is no number in front of that x squared, if there's no number in front of that x squared, well, how does that change something? Oh, maybe if there's no middle term, the axis of symmetry is always going to be on the y-axis if there's no middle term, because you'd always get a 0 on top. Are you happy with that? No. Yes. Who said? All right, let's do one that's a negative. Do number 30. Do number 30. Follow the concise, easy little steps. Jackson. Uh-oh. What did I just push? This one's going to open the other way, just so you know. Gotta watch your negatives. If you're like Jeremy Schwartz and you try to do too much in your head, you'll end up missing something somewhere. Did you get -1, Jeremy? You did or didn't? You gotta make sure you write it down. The math isn't that hard, usually.
So then you only have 3 points.
Well, you can't put anything else on.
Well, you need something so you can kind of accurately detect how big or wide it is. I mean, that would probably get you by if the 3 points ended up being way down here, so you know how wide it got, how fast. But if you only did your points right here and then right here, you don't know how curved it is here. It could come out like this. I would say you'd want the max or the min, and then put 2 other things in to find. You'd need a total of 5 points. But 2 of them are duplicates because it's the opposite of the answer. Spanny, you got an answer?
I can't fit another point.
Yeah, but it only goes in for
Oh, well, if you can't get another one on there, then
Yeah.
that's all you can do. You can't put halves in there. Oh, shell hammer.
Okay,
So your axis of symmetry is here, correct? So you need to put that -1 into the original equation, which is -3x squared minus 6x minus 7. And again, I've been kind of skipping things because my pen hasn't been working. Usually I write this out a little better. -3 times the -1 squared minus 6 times the -1 plus 7, or minus 7, sorry. -1 squared is 1, 1 times -3 is -3, 1 times -6 is a positive 6, and this is a -7. So -10 and a positive 6 gives you a -4. So here at -1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be a point. There. Okay, and then I would put 0 in, which shouldn't take a lot of work. If you put 0 in, you end up with a -7. So here at 0, you get -7, which is what? Here? Wait, what am I? 4, 5, 6, 7. And then one on the opposite side over there. Are you telling me you can't put a +1 in there to get another
No, you
point?
get a -16.
Oh, do you? Okay. So if you can't get another point to fit on the graph, then your graph looks a lot like this. And yes, they make graphic calculators for this, but you can always go to that later on after you know what's going on. Stop me there, those of you that said you were slightly confused, confounded. It's not that bad. I actually get a lot of satisfaction out of graphing quadratic equations. Do you burn and crash? Not that tough. Jackson?
so when you put 0 in, it cancels out the first
Yeah.
2.
Yes, always, because those all have x's in them.
Oh,
So 0 would always be my choice. It fits on the thing. Brandon? What? Yeah, we're just about done. Let me give you your assignment here. What I'd like for you to do